Good morning. Today is our last conversation on forest therapy with Madison Travis. And in spirit of it being our third conversation, I am going to tell you three things that I am so excited for today. And then I'm going to ask Madison to also tell us three things that she is excited for today. So the first one, my sister is going to be here with me. A big hug in my arms. I haven't seen her since Christmas, I guess. And so she will be here for a couple weeks coming from Spain. So I can't wait to see her. My mom also gets in. She's been in Florida. So reconnecting with her is going to be amazing. And the third thing that I am excited for today is I guess it's more of a but. It doesn't really happen today, but I will be doing a film shoot over the weekend. And I'm very excited for that. I see Madison is here. Let me get her to join us. And then I'm going to ask her three things that she's while I enjoy my tea. Madison,
Hello.
oh, look at you. You look beautiful today.
Oh, well, thanks. Um, yeah, just, trying to step up my game here today.
We
We have
both
hiker.
look at that.
I
Yeah.
know. I like it. I
So
like
I'm
it.
sharing three things that I'm excited for today. It could even be grateful for too, to start our conversation. So what are some three things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I love that. I loved hearing yours, and I'm so excited. Sister love is special, and being able to see your family all in one place is super special. So I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited for we get to take our trail friends back on the CDT. So it's the Continental Divide Trail. And they've been in town for a few days and we've made really good food. And so I'm grateful that they were able to make a stop, especially along their 3,000-mile journey. It's just so
Oh,
special to reconnect. And we met on the Pacific Crest Trail. And so that's most of my gratitude. And yeah, I get to have this experience with you today. And then this afternoon, I actually am going to be working my first farmer's market. So
hi.
I'll be working for Tumbleweed Farms here for their farmer's market stand. They're both busy today, so I'm stepping in. And so I'm really excited because I love going, but I've never been on the other side of the table. So I'm really grateful for that.
Oh,
Um,
I love that. There's something special about being on the other side and getting to like see people how they stop and interact and questions that people will ask. I love that.
yeah, I'm so excited, and I love I've been loving just like using their share and cooking whatever vegetables they have for the week, and so it's a nice way to be there for them and support what they're doing. So it's a really cool relationship forming, and I'm grateful for people like this, especially right now. So yeah, thank you for asking. That was such a great way to start.
Well, good. Well, going off of that, I mean, we've been texting throughout the week at little times, and I was so excited to hear about your exercise from the weekend, or however, whenever you did it, because I know we shared little tidbits. But I would love to hear about how this last exercise or intention went for you, and then I'll share a little bit of mine.
Yeah, so for this last intention, it was really focusing on, we're on this canvas and what can we create around us. And so I was actually this last weekend was pretty busy. We went to my cousin's 1 year anniversary, but wedding celebration, and there's I haven't been in a group of people like that in a while, and so it was incredible to like feel that palpable love around people, and but also at the same time, like I feel that because we had so much introspection and time away from crowds, and we're adapting to be back in that environment again. And so for me, there was a full moon that night, and my cousin Emily she just like, we were on the dance floor and was like, oh, like if you want to see the moon, come out and see it. And so, you know, there were a lot of us that gathered around, and then after that, I would go over. I went over there by myself here and there, and I actually did my invitation there, like at 11:30 p.m., which is like a time I feel like I want to explore more of the full moon walks and have those experiences. But yeah, I just stood there and I took off my shoes and I walked through the grass, and um, you know, there were beautiful bouquets of flowers everywhere, just like a wedding. And it was in Montana, so it was just this beautiful landscape. And the smoke was a little bit overwhelming, but it had cleared for the evening, and you could see the silhouette and the moon. And it was just, it was so grounding to have that experience and feel this sense of independence and solitude, even though like 100 feet away, you know, people were dancing and having a great time. But then I also think it was, you know, I was able to really appreciate, this is my time. This is like, I'm standing here alone at this event, but I can also be with the people I love that I haven't seen in so long. And so for me, that canvas was, I guess, how I interpreted it to be, is that it depends on the day and what you need. And you know, like there's so much benefit in having your alone time, but there's also so much benefit in that connection, and having a collaborative canvas and being able to see how others, you know, what other colors people bring to your palette, and to explore how that can increase and enhance your own personal experience and growth. So that was my experience. It was definitely different than I had witnessed in previous invitations. But I mean, that's the point, right? You experience
Yeah.
something different every time. So it was beautiful, and it was really special. So I'm curious to hear yours.
It's so funny because I feel like we have an unknown sort of stitch happening within this time. Before I tell you mine, I do have a question because I want to clear up something that maybe some people think that, you know, forest therapy needs to be complete
Mm-hmm.
solitude, you know, very calm. And for this next bit, whenever I share with you what my invitation was like, it wasn't super calm, and it was very sort of like adrenaline in a way. Um, and I want to ask you, so is that okay for people to find it if it's more physically, like if they want a physically demanding type of invitation, or what's that like?
Yeah, no, I love that you asked that, because there's so many. I mean, forest therapy, it's invitational, and so you interpret it whatever way that your body needs to. And so I should send you this book. It's Susan Hackenmiller, Dr. Susan Hackenmiller, and she wrote a book. She partners like kayaking and climbing and mountain biking, and she's also a physician. And so it's really beautiful how she, you know, these endurance, or these you know, these fast-paced sports that you don't, you know, you're like, well, that's not forest therapy, or like you don't think it is. But she has invitations for each of those activities, and then she also pairs a tea or an herb for those as well. And it's, you would love it. And yeah, to your point, it, I was 100 feet from a dance floor, and had that experience of grounding and having my feet in the soil. And I think especially as things open back up, or whatever happens, you know, as things continue to progress, like being able to have those moments of grounding, you know, it doesn't have to be, it can be 5 minutes, it can be 15, it can be 3 hours, you know, like, but it really is dependent on people's schedule, and what they need. Like those micro doses of nature are so important, and they add up. So I don't want those to be dismissed at all. So it's a really good question, and we
Oh,
can link that book in the bio. I love her work, and she's on a lot of podcasts, and it's a really great perspective on forest therapy. So
yeah, we'll definitely have to put that in the comments in the in a
yeah.
so the invitation wise, I was kind of more on that direction of adrenaline in a way. So I finally made the purchase for my first cross country mountain bike. So we went out on the trails, and I was very hyper focused on routes and navigating gravel and trying to, especially the turns and getting up on narrow trails and bluff lines. This is all kind of new to me. And so I was curious how I could find, I guess, rhythm and a piece within that. And I did. It took me about 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes, I was very worried and very preoccupied with not falling. But after
Oh, yeah.
that, the trails had a sense of, I imagined it as a canvas that was just leading me. And so when I do a turn, I imagine the canvas sort of making like a beautiful splash of color or something that would turn around. And then whenever I'd go over roots, it was like, okay, so now it's more of a like a bubble or like just different things would appear on the canvas. And so it made this very um, geometrical, weird little canvas in my mind of the trail. So I had this idea of what a trail would look like if, not from a bird's eye view, but just from how it feels. And so
Mhm.
what would it look like on canvas by the way that it feels. And so the turns for me, I thought it has a little bit of, oh shit, I'm going to fall over, right?
Yeah.
So they're very red. And then whenever
Mhm.
it felt like a very calming, sort of like a purple lavender color. And then when we go over gravel and roots and stuff, then that felt more like, oh, this is fun. I have to navigate. So there's some orange and yellow. And yeah, so the canvas became a really, really divert. It wasn't what I was expecting it to look like. Let's just put it that way. It was
Yeah. Oh,
something
I love that.
I was hoping that it would be an okay way for forced therapy, right? Because in my mind, you know, being outside in any form feels like therapy.
Mhm.
But especially when you add in like higher elevated heart rate or stress in that way on your body, I thought maybe it wouldn't be for us. I'm so happy to hear you clear that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's different schools of thought with forest bathing and forest therapy. And so, I mean, it's been shown that just being out in nature, um, decreases cortisol levels. In hospitals, the colors, like you were saying, like green, blue, that has even just that presence or being close to a window to see outside has really increased the recovery time of people. And so, like I think if we if we begin to like try to um prescribe or like dictate what it is, I think it narrows the perspective, and I think that's unfortunate. And I mean there's forest bathing where you can, you really slow down and you really tune into your senses. And but for me, like, walking meditation is more beneficial than sitting and being still. I find more meditative practice in that way. So for me, I just think there's so much adaptation that can happen. And that's why I'm here to, like, to guide people. Is like, you know I can be an overthinker, and so it's easier said than done. But to have that experience to guide people, and then they can take whatever pieces or components away.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really important. um, as this practice continues to grow, and there are different subsects and schools of thought, just with yoga, just like anything is people interpret it differently, and that's the beauty in it, right? So kind of finding what makes sense for you is really important. Is it, you kind of like going back to the yoga analogy, is it yin yoga, is it is
Yeah.
it restorative, is it hot yoga, which is not my thing, but I respect it. So yeah, so that's the best comparison I can make as this practice continues to grow. So
Very cool. Now, one component that you earlier, and we also have been talking about and leading into our other two calls, is the tea ceremony
yes.
after form of tea. So can you walk us through? Yes. Oh, beautiful. Do you want to lead us through a little bit of your first pouring out and gratitude with the tea, and sort of tell us a little bit about how we can implement that into either daily life or even just part of forest therapy in that way if we're doing invitations.
Yeah, absolutely. So in our first video, we broke down 10, 10, 10. So I really like this practice because it's super approachable for people that don't necessarily have a lot of time, just being able to squeeze that in. And you can break it up too, but ideally it's in the morning for 30 minutes. And so the first 10 minutes is, you know, if you want to reach out for an invitation, and I have some on my website as well, but having an invitation that you bring to a sit spot, and a sit spot is, I mean, it could be in this beautiful courtyard with statues next to a tree, next to a pot of, you know, potted plants. It could be at your local park, by the stream, just anywhere that you can find some relative solitude, wherever that is for you, and bring this invitation. And so you sit with this invitation, whether it's, I'm playing around with some audio invitations here recently. So whether it's audio written, if it's a song that you really like there's an excerpt of anything that you like, and just being able to contemplate and think about that for 10 minutes and feel that. And where does that land in your body? And what do you find that's being given to you by your natural surroundings? And then 10 minutes to reflect. So, you know, like we were saying, you know, the canvas, like that may be actually a physical canvas that you're painting on, or you could journal, or sing, or, you know, write a song, or however you feel that you can bring that invitation back into your body, and bring that through the rest of your day. And then the incorporation of tea or coffee or water, you know, whatever your body needs. And for me, it was tea this morning. So I have some stinging nettle. I don't know what you have.
I had a mint, another Moroccan mint tea.
That sounds so good. And, you know, obviously there's the benefits of tea too. And, you know, for stinging nettle, it helps with inflammation. It's honestly just jam-packed with vitamins and amino acids, and it's a wildly amazing herb, and I love it so much. Really good for women who are pregnant as well. But yeah, I'll pour a cup of tea, and I'll also pour a cup of tea for whoever else is joining us today to symbolize our togetherness. And the tea really incorporates this appreciation for and gratitude for the land that we're on. So the original keepers of the land, past, present, and future. And so acknowledging all of those, you know, our ancestors and those that came before us, that tended this land and allowed for us to experience it in the way that we do today. And so tea ceremony is really a way to incorporate, like for the 10-10-10, incorporate all of those components that you experienced previously. So
That is so great. Now, is there any, for the first sip of tea and everything, do you do anything special? Do you close your eyes? Do you smell the tea? What do you?
yeah, so on a forest therapy walk, I really like to take our first drink together, but before that, I like to what we like to do is pour out a little bit of tea for the land. So whether that's in a plant or right here in this little gravel pit with some cute little weeds sprouting up, yeah, wherever that is to you, just this symbolic reciprocity. So understanding that we benefit so much, but also being able to give back to our land as well, and then drink together.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and typically I'd like to share like my favorite poem at the moment. But yeah, I can share that in the comments or however you want to do that.
Do you have a phrase or anything that is sticking in your mind today or has been this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've struggled a little bit with like finding my voice a little bit, like balancing, you know, nomadic living, and if it is really for me, and so in what way it's for me. It's important to be connected to community, so I think I've battled that back and forth a little bit. but it's simple, but it will come. Is
Ooh, love that.
Yeah, and Heath and I are having a good conversation last night. We do rosebud thorn too. I started that on the PCT after the Scouts I used to be involved with, and yeah, it just came up. I was like, it will come. Like whatever is meant will come, and I think that's what I'm that's what I'm leaning into. I don't know if there's anything for you, a phrase that stuck with you.
No, I might have to use that. I think mine lately has been enjoy the simple moments, you know, just kind of like reminding myself to enjoy little things and not have to always, that might be one.
Yes, that's always a good one. Is the simple moments that make up the bigger picture is so important to remember. So I like that.
Now, Madison, where can people look for more information with you if they want to maybe book a virtual forest therapy session, or if they are close to you and they can actually book it and see you in person? What are some ways to do that?
Yeah, so I guess the one that's coming up soonest is tomorrow, 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I have some walks that I'm starting to post on anft.earth. And so it's really wonderful because people from all over the world can join. And for an hour session, it's $20, but it is free for healthcare providers um, if you let me know, and or essential workers. And so that's the most upcoming is tomorrow at 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then madisontravis.com. People can book virtual sessions in person. I'm in Pinedale, Wyoming, so I don't know of many people that are here, but I'll be back in Iowa for a wedding. And end of October, I'll have a I'll have a walk with Jester Park, and
Oh,
so that'll be a couple-hour walk with them through their programming with forest therapy, and that's how I actually met Susan Hackenmiller, she's
wow.
just a total badass forest
Yeah,
therapy guide. So um, yeah, I can post a link, however is easiest. But yeah, I think those are the main ways to find me if people are interested in reaching out, or if you need an invitation and you're like having a day and you want to be outside but you're in your head. Just reach out and I can craft an invitation for you. And I would love to do that. So,
that is so wonderful. And we also had winners of the calendars with the Sierra Club. Do you want to announce our first two winners, and then for everyone else, if you put in the comments, let's do your favorite place. No, your favorite tea. Your favorite tea. Um, I want some more options, so I'll take some recommendations for more tea. So put in your
yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. So the first two winners, Cien Tran and Mallory Travis.
Ooh,
So,
that that is so great. And those were they had commented some of their favorite national parks and state parks, and so that was really cool too.
yeah, and I believe Cien's was Acadia,
Oh,
and she was going out to see her brother in Boston this last week. So I'm excited to catch up with her here soon. And then Mallory, when we were on family vacation in Zion, that was a favorite for her. So
yeah, that's a hard one to beat. That's
it
awesome.
really, it really is. But oh, I love this. This is such a great way to start the day, and I'm so grateful for everybody who's been able to join, and especially for the three-part series. It's been really special to have this conversation and start the morning this way.
Yes, and for you, if you haven't already, you can watch the first two. They're on IGTV, and then we are going to be having them on YouTube on the blockchain-based Gaze TV, and then we're also going to have it on Madison's website. So if you go to madisontravis.com, you can see and book with her. You can also rewatch these. And Madison, thank you for sharing your knowledge. This was so cool. I feel like I learned a lot too, and I was so happy to do all of the presentations and definitely going to be the 10-10-10 really works for me. So I'm going to be implementing that a lot.
Oh, that's good to hear. I've been able to adapt that method and that time frame over the trainings and to see and experiment. And so I love hearing that feedback, and I'm glad that it works for you and your schedule. And yes, I love it.
Do one more little cheers. Cheers to
Yes.
everyone else out today. And I hope you enjoyed this weekend. Hopefully everyone gets outside and we'll talk later.
Perfect. Bye.
Bye.